Hello and welcome to Naviant's webinar, Taking Manual to Automated Intelligent Document Processing with AI. You are here today with the amazing Jeff Comer to show you all the amazing talents that intelligent document processing brings to the table. And of course, I'm Chris Krause, your favorite consultant from Navient, longtime Navianteer. Let's dive in.
You're my favorite, anyway.
I appreciate that, Jeff. Let's dive in and figure out what is this whole IDP thing. But before we do, I always like to start with a little quote. Efficiency is doing better what is already being done today. Peter Drucker, famous for all of his efficiencies that he's brought in his consulting engagements for at least 40 years in the industry. And this couldn't be more true when you think of IDP, because you've been bringing content into your solutions, no matter what type of solution you have today. And the technology has changed dramatically. In fact, when Jeff started, clay tablets used to put in barcodes on clay tablets before the dinosaurs ate them and to process them in. It's come a long way since then, and it's really exciting to see where it's going to go. But what is this IDP? What does people talk about? And for those of you in OnBase, you know IDP is no longer the identity provider service. It is intelligent document processing. And intelligent document processing.
I didn't move the slide forward because you didn't give me the I Dream of Genie thing. There we go.
Thanks, Jeff. Jeff's driving today, so please buckle up. Intelligent document processing, or IDP, is the use of advanced technologies, including artificial intelligence, machine learning, and optical character recognition to automatically classify, extract, and process data from any type of document. And a lot of these terms and acronyms you've heard before, like OCR, machine learning, but AI is newer to the game. And Jeff, how would you describe the difference between AI and ML, or machine learning?
Yeah, I guess the simplest way I think of it is that artificial intelligence is the algorithm and the technique in which the machine can mimic human decision making. So, given the circumstances, what outcome would you predict would happen? And it's basically going to give you a similar outcome every time. Machine learning adds in an element of being able to take inputs and corrections from external sources and improve that algorithm. So machine learning gets smarter over time, and the decisions get better over time.
I like that explanation, Jeff. Artificial intelligence just being as broad as it is and having machine learning being a subset of artificial intelligence is part of what you're here for. And you're going to see all the different types of AI that are incorporated within these solutions we're going to demonstrate today. So let's go and dive a little deeper about why you would even get into this IDP space. So I'm on my digital transformation journey. I want to improve my systems and I have to be more efficient. Perhaps I'm having some staffing issues because I've got people retiring and I'm not able to replace them. So I need to be able to do more with less. Well, the first thing IDP will do for you, of course, is save costs. The intelligence and what this brings to the table and the ease of the setup as a SaaS offering, meaning it's hosted in the cloud, you go through a website, you log in, and you're off to the races. It's got pre-configured things, drag and drop configuration. It's very easy to use, keeping costs really low. And of course, with all the cool advanced features, it can process those documents efficiently. And because you're processing those documents efficiently, you're getting them into your downstream workflow processes faster. So no matter where those documents are going in their final destinations, they're probably hitting some type of business cycle time that you can reduce as a fact of IDP. IDP is at least as accurate, if not more, than a human in entering all of that data. So finding the data, extracting the data, and passing it on and classifying those documents are equal to any human could do. So you reduce a lot of errors, human errors, just by having IDP in your digital transformation journey.
And about 100x human.
Jeff's typing skills are questionable. You'll see in a little while. Of course, we always joke, but it's so true. Print to scan, reducing paper usage, taking digital content, bringing it in, processing it through IDP, and having it go out to your OnBase system or your ERP. No matter how you're going to leverage that content on the back end, keeping everything digital saves paper and makes people like your toner and your printer vendor a little sad, but that's about it. And of course, having everything digitally processed, you have huge improvements in visibility and administration of your entire ecosystem. So you'll see all of that content as it flows through and how it's processing, and you'll see some examples of that coming up. And of course, it's an automation building block. It's where a lot of the content starts. And whether any AI model requires you to have really good content and accurate content in order for it to be effective and make effective decisions. And that was power of AI. You're going to see firsthand, it is amazing how well it does right out of the gates, even when it doesn't know anything about a particular piece of content. And of course, once you have all of those processes in place and your IDP is running smoothly, your customer, who ultimately will be impacted by better customer service. So your customer requests and their feedback loop will be seamless. And Amazon's made us all very, very expecting that I should be able to do something and get it very, very quickly. And IDP will support that for you so that your clients feel that same type of experience. So let's move forward. All right, thanks, Jeff. Let's look at some examples of how when we work a little smarter, what are the results of that? How well do we get when we implement an IDP solution? So first, and I'm just kept these fairly general, of course, everybody has invoices, but if you think you're a commercial company and you process a lot of invoices, implementing an IDP solution will save you 40 to 60% time in getting those invoices turned around, which means you can take advantage of those prepaid discounts. And obviously saving costs, that hits right down to the bottom line. That's a beautiful thing and a great reason to implement an IDP solution. But maybe you're in healthcare. If you're in healthcare, there's a 50 to 70% reduction in time for processing insurance claims and extracting all of that critical data. It's IDP is in that lexicon in healthcare has gotten so good with AI that these savings are real for every insurance claim that gets processed. And last but certainly not least, our friends in financial services have loans that they process all the time. And of course, back a couple of years ago when the interest rate was near zero, they couldn't keep up with the huge demand for loan processing. But by implementing IDP, they were able to increase that throughput 60 to 80%. That's a dramatic improvement in processing times and of course leads to better customer satisfaction. So those are some great outcomes that are included in your IDP digital transformation journey. But let's take a little deeper dive into what each one of these platforms can bring to you, because this is summertime and summertime is drive-in movie time where you get a double feature. So today we're going to talk about two different solutions that you're going to love to see. The first one is Hyland's Intelligent Document Processing, or HIDP. We love acronyms. You're going to hear lots of them today. So HIDP, what is it? Well, as you can see, the top 5 particular bars in this particular diagram, this shows the Hyland IDP flow. Those top 5 bars really describe what the process flow is for all of the content that comes in to Hyland IDP. And it doesn't matter if the content originates in OnBase, it could be emails, it could be from your multifunction device, it could be from any scanner, literally any type of content, bring it into IDP, where optical character recognition will be performed, then document separation, and it's really, really good at identifying and classifying those documents and separating them out appropriately. Particularly strong there. And of course, extracting the relevant data and then validating it before it outputs it to your Hyland OnBase solution, your ERP, or you can use RPA to disperse that to any particular application. One call out here, of course, is that continuous online learning. That blue bar that's across all of those automatically analyzes, tests, and validates all of the inputs that come along the way to improve it as it goes. So there's no additional training needed.
That's that machine learning.
That machine learning that Jeff described earlier. And that validation is really to focus on the data elements and the classification of the documents themselves, not for business logic. So pro tip, best practice, if you have business rules that are downstream as a part of a workflow process to determine if something is accurate or not, this is not the place to do that. And this would be true of any IDP platform. You want to make sure that you're doing your business validations down in your workflow processes in either your ERP or your OnBase solution. So here is an example of what the Hyland IDP process monitor looks like. Now, Jeff's going to give you a demo of what this looks like, but I wanted to give you the screenshot because this is very different than any of the on-base platforms that you're familiar with or probably have seen in the past. This is a full SaaS offering, so it's in the cloud using browser-based, where the menu options, everything is 100% point and click configured. You can see it's got a similar look and feel for managing the workflow process itself and the steps that happen in there, along with your batches on the bottom and of course on the right hand side. In this particular view, you get to see how are things performing. And then obviously that's a lot of green, that's a lot of good. So we're going to go show you that live and in person, but I had to show you this because it is a really, really powerful tool that's very different than any of the Hyland platforms that you've seen before. So now, because it's a fantastic double feature at the drive-in, #2 movie, ABBYY Vantage. This IDP solution is got a great story. I mean, there's 30 years of history and technology and learnings that are applied to this, along with billions of documents that they've processed through and have incorporated into this platform. It's still low code, hosted in the cloud, and they use a thing called skills. Skills can come in a couple of different forms. We're going to actually show you one of those in demonstration, but it comes into the system and it does the vision to determine what is this document, and it can do 200 plus languages baked right in. Plus then it applies its AI understanding in order to determine what is it and to extract the data, and then of course it can apply insights to it. And this is a really cool graphics, one of Jeff's favorite graphics, I think, of all of the slides.
Mesmerizing.
Just like your content's going to fly right through, this is the platform where it's purpose-built, all AI-based, highly optimized, and we're going to talk through a few of the details because Jeff's bingo card gets filled up every time we look at this slide. When you talk about AI,
I've got a few.
AI,
I'm really close.
You are really close. You were going to win. You're going to make somebody upset the fact that you won bingo. But Abby's done this in the best way possible. So, we'll talk through what this looks like, but at a high level, the steps aren't that dissimilar, right? As far as it comes into the system, they do image enhancement to make sure they get the best quality image. They do detections for objects, then ICR and OCR it, classify it, extract any of that data, and then use the natural language processor for unstructured content to really understand the context of what they've determined to be. So it doesn't have to be a structured form like the old days where you had those comb fields with individual letters in every single field. This can be completely unstructured, and it can summarize and find the information easily on any page. Now in the bottom, you'll notice that there are, in that orange box, or slightly red box, depending on your screen resolution, it lists off the different types of AI models it leverages at each step of those process. So it isn't a single model applied across all the steps and hoping that it gets it right. They've applied the best of the neural networks and their AI technology across each individual step to give you the best result. So whether it's BERT or GBM or CNN, they applied them to get the best results for you, all included in the product, point and click. You don't have to make a decision about it. It's fantastic.
Yeah, man, I took you for more of a Fox guy.
Oh, Roberto. So here is a visual of what this document processing looks like at a very high level. So no matter what type of documents you're bringing into the system, whether you're invoices or tax forms or IDs, you bring them in and you can use mobile, email, or Naviant's very own custom on-base connector to ABBYY Vantage. We'll take the on-base content and move it to ABBYY Vantage, where ABBYY Vantage will perform those processing steps noted earlier in the previous slide. And then the AI models get applied before all that output is sent back to either on-base, our connector, or to any other number of systems, your ERP or any other backend system, to be leveraged. So that was exciting and that was fast. But where can I use this thing? All over the place. And I apologize for the eye chart right now, but there are so many different potential use cases for IDP now that it has taken this way beyond what you ever did know before. When you used to have to put barcodes on things, or you had to have a separation sheet, or you had to maybe even have a constrained box field on a form to get accurate data reads out of it, that no longer is the case. opening up the door to be able to process a whole lot of different other things like resume screening. So that's a great use case. You can, of course, process bank statements, invoices, which are one that many of you may be doing today, but also about contracts. You're pulling out terms from their contracts and so much more. So without further ado, Jeff's favorite part of every webinar, when I get to turn it over and be quiet so that he can show you firsthand, not one, but two great solutions right now with a live demo. Jeff?
Thank you, Chris. All right. So we're going to start with ABBYY Vantage, since Chris talked about that most recently. And I'm going to just dive in and get started by showing you what we mean when we talk about those pre-baked skills. So while I'm uploading a couple of documents here, both the platforms I'm going to show you are using the same underlying technologies that Chris was just reviewing, a little orange box there, right? They're all using the state-of-the-art, best and greatest AI algorithms and engines to perform their processing. But the two companies have taken sort of a somewhat different tactical approach to delivering those technologies. And with ABBYY Vantage and ABBYY's 30 years of experience in the intelligent capture space, they've built up a lot of neural networks. They've had neural networks underpinning their products for many, many, many years. So they thought to themselves, we got all these neural networks laying around. Why don't we give them to people and make them accessible? So instead of having to start from scratch with training this tool on your particular documents, there's a good chance it already knows how to process those documents. And as you can see here, I uploaded two files and the system automatically identified them, one as a receipt and one as an invoice. So that classification step, it automatically knew how to identify what those were. And then because it knows what type of a document it is, it knows what type of information you typically want to extract from it. So if we look at this receipt here, we can see the image in the middle, and the little blue highlighting are the fields that the tool or the skill extracted. And over here on the right, we can see that actual field data here. So we got things like the date and the vendor. And the vendor, it's kind of funny on this one, how instead of the Home Depot logo, which is kind of on a bias here, it ended up grabbing the how doers, and so let's just make this a little bit better here. Let's just say this is how doers get more done, right? So we can give it a hint on how we want it to look for the name on this particular receipt, and this is an example of that machine learning. The system's going to take this visual or this hint that I made a manual change, and it's going to take it into consideration in future extractions. Right, so you can see here also, phone number, the total, the tax. It really pretty much got all of the key pieces of information, including my credit card. This was a purchase I made recently, so I'm glad we got the X's there. But pretty cool, right? So uploaded a document, said, I know what this is. This looks like a receipt. Extract all the key data, and it's ready to send downstream to other systems. And the next document, it identified properly as an invoice. And, probably of all the skills that are in the marketplace, this ABBYY marketplace, the invoice is the one that's the most trained. That is one of the most common use cases for OCR technology. And so this is a really smart skill. It doesn't need to be trained on your specific vendor invoices. It knows an invoice and can automatically extract key information like the invoice number, the date, the total amount. It can even extract all of the table information associated with a complex invoice. And this could be pages and pages and pages. And it will do a great job of identifying the individual columns and pulling that data out for you, even matching it up with your purchase order data so that you can see if there are any discrepancies. So it's really cool. Amazing to how fast you can get up and running with this solution. Now, just for grins, just to show you how easy this tool is designed to as ABBYY Vantage as a for a citizen developer type usage, let's go ahead and create a quick skill of our own. So I have, as Chris mentioned, hundreds of skills that I could use as a starting point, and there's a good chance that you can get something that's 80, 90% out of the box right off the gate. But sometimes we need to create our own unique skill, and I can do that easily. I can say I want to create a document skill, and I'm going to call it my parking skill. And I'm going to go ahead and create this. I'm going to upload a sample document here. This sample document is going to give me something to start generating what fields I'm interested in obtaining. So I go over to the editor here. And you can see I've got no fields defined for this particular document, but all I have to do is just start grabbing stuff. And I can say that this is the company. This is where Chris alluded to you get to see my horrendous typing skills in action. So I can say that this is an amount, and I can even give it some more hints like, hey, this is a money field, right? So I have lots of I can get as sophisticated as I want, but in terms of this little demonstration here, we're just going to grab a few quick fields, and I'm going to say this is the date, and that's really all I need from this particular document, right? I want to know where they parked, how much it was for, and on what day and time. So if that's all the information I need, I simply need to click train. It's going to build the model for me, and then I can publish it, and this skill will be available for me to consume. Literally only took me 2 minutes to create a brand new extraction skill. So that's pretty amazing. Of course, ABBYY Vantage has the ability to do very complex things. There are advanced designers. We can do things like access components of complex documents using natural language processing and entity recognition, meaning we can identify people, places, and things and be able to pull that information out. So you can go from the very simple, as I showed here, to the extraordinarily complex with this toolkit. So we got that going for us. Let's take a minute.
That was a great feature movie there, Jeff. I love how easy that was to create.
Right?
That was impressive. And your
That
typing
would be a good
skills.
time to run to the concession stand and support your local.
It is an amazing tool for creating net new. And of course, the user input helping it learn along the way. I mean, that's the huge advancement that we didn't have before, but it eases that admin burden, which is so nice.
Right on. Cool. Well, let's switch, take a quick glimpse at the Hyland IDP product, and then we'll get you back to your main star, or Chris, Chris, the IDP guru. So here we go. So as Chris mentioned, Hyland's fresh take on this SaaS offering, all web-based, easy to get up and use. In this particular view I have here, you can see there are three simple user applications here. One to capture content that isn't automatically captured, one to review the classification of documents coming in, and one to actually review the extraction. And of course, with all of these tools, the goal is to have what we call straight through processing, meaning hundreds of documents can go through and come out the other end with no human interaction whatsoever, right? The system understands how to recognize it, pull the data off, and give it back to you. And we're eliminating that human touch altogether, which is where we get all those savings. So what us showing you these interfaces is just because, hey, we had some time to kill, and we gotta fill a half hour, right? And then down here, we've got some tools that allow us to monitor these things from an administrative perspective, and of course, to set them up to begin with. So the difference that you're going to see here in terms of approach between the ABBYY tool that I just showed you and the Hyland tool, again, same underlying technologies, same capabilities, same results, best in breed, best in class extraction of information. What Hyland's done is to give you a great deal of granularity. So this is a little less citizen developer like, and very much like a highly customizable, highly optimizable extraction experience. So in addition to, the out of the box capabilities that you have, like, so for simple OCR to turn image data into machine text language, we can actually insert different OCR engines depending upon what type of a project we're solving. So here we're using Microsoft Read OCR, but if I have something that is largely handwritten, there may be an OCR engine that's highly optimized around handwriting recognition, and I'm going to get better results if I use that engine instead. Or if I have something that has a lot of graphics in it and I need to be able to do something with that graphic recognition. So being able to plug and play different engines, including engines like ChatGPT. Maybe I want to send this document over to ChatGPT and have it give me some hints back that are going to drive further actions downstream in my process. I can do all of that very simply here, and I got a lot out of the box, and I can add more as needed. So very, very powerful. Once it's all strung together, though, it's it's gonna act a lot like what we saw with the ABBYY tool. If I can get my little little bar out of the way that's showing me, here we go. Yeah, so I have to go real quick. There's a little Teams bar at the top blocking me. So here's our batch review process and the user interface. So if there was a classification issue where there was some uncertainty and we wanted to verify it, this is what the end user would see. They would see over here the guess from the artificial intelligence, saying, I think this first document is an estimate. I think this second document is a loan application, a 9-page loan application. So we can quickly see, get off of here, unselect you, reselect you. Yeah, there you go. So here are identified. You can see how different these pages are, but the tool is smart enough to know that they all logically go together as one group. If it made a mistake, I can go ahead and do separation here. I can change the classification to something else. But one of the greatest classification engines I've seen so far. It's really easy to train, and it does a really great job. And once we've classified these documents, then we can feed them downstream to the different extraction engines, and we can pull the fields off, and you'll see that this looks very much like let's see if I can make this a little bit bigger for us so we can see better. There you go. It's going to look very much like the interface I showed you with ABBYY, right? We're pulling off the different fields based upon the training that we gave it, and this is where we can make any corrections if we need to. And any corrections we do make, again, are going to feed our machine learning engine, which is going to improve the overall outcome over time. So there you go.
Can you go back one screen just to where that we saw the list of batches for just a moment?
For the list of batches for this?
Yeah. Or the other one as well. Yep.
Oh, the SLA status?
Yeah. So Hyland IDP incorporated an SLA status. And so you can set up how long you think things should process. So if you have mailroom operations, or if you are trying to make sure things get processed, say your commitment to the business is I'm going to get all of my items processed a day's work in a day, you can set statuses, and there can be you're running okay, you're running on time. There's, of course, warning or overdue. So you can set this up to help you manage it and get your workers focused in on the batches that are most critical work. So it's a really nice little tool that they've incorporated into this to make sure that all the work gets done in a timely fashion.
All right, good call out. Cool. So let's return things back to Mr. Krause. Chris, we've been talking about IDP. Have you heard of IVPPP? Intelligent VP photo processing. Yet another example of how we can use intelligent document processing, where we can ask, What would our illustrious Chris Krause look like as the world's greatest superhero? And there you go. There's no end to what you can do with these emerging technologies.
It's amazing how accurate these AI engines have gotten. I mean, that's impressive, Jeff. I really, yeah, I appreciate that. That's what happens when you leave your favorite sales engineering manager with the presentation too long by himself. So, IDP obviously has been around for a long time, but it's taken a great leap with the technology space. And when you look at all of the different solutions, and many of them that you may already have in place today, like invoice extraction, that's good. But I thought I could do more. And if you want to elevate your IDP game, there are a lot of different use cases that now are available that weren't before, leveraging any of the tools previously ever available. And so a couple of the use cases, if you're going to elevate your IDP game, is determining sentiment. So maybe you have a customer survey and you get those results back. You can send it off to say, was this a positive survey, a negative survey, or was it neutral? And that way you can do follow-ups based on negatives and positives. You can categorize them and take further action based on the downstream process. You can also take a look at your chat transcripts. So if you have a support chat bot and it records all of the transcript of that interaction, and that could be an automated chat bot or it could be a human chat bot, taking that, running it through IDP and determining how was the customer's interaction, and it'll make an assessment whether it was satisfied. Maybe you can do it for training your agent. What else could your agent have done differently if it's a human to make it better? And if it's a robot agent, how can I make my robot agent better? All of the NLP will help you get those results very, very quickly. It'll summarize and make suggestions and recommendations based on the IDP. Performance reviews is another great opportunity to leverage IDP and against the natural language process model to determine how is my employee doing? Are they satisfied? What's their flight risk? Because if they're a flight risk and they're a valuable employee, maybe I should have extra people come in and analyze and talk with them about how they're doing and where they're going and what can make their work life better. In insurance processing, we talked about that earlier as an opportunity, and how healthcare has been able to reduce the amount of time it takes to process an insurance claim. But how about extending that to being fraud and waste? Maybe Dr. Comer is prescribing far too many medications to the same patient, and you're finding that there is fraud, or there's too many of the same procedures being recommended when it's unnecessary. So let's take and actually reduce the overall cost and spend. You can also take contracts.
There, buddy.
You can take your contract terms and do an analysis to pull out, hey, does this match or your insurance policy? Are there new terms within a 300-page insurance policy that maybe puts you at risk? Have IDP extract that and give you that summarization so you can do that analysis. And of course, if you're in an industry that's heavily audited or you need to track compliance, IDP is a great way to make sure you are meeting those and double checking any human inputs along the way. So there's a lot of different ways to elevate your IDP solution to that next level based on the more recent technology advancements. That was a lot, Jeff,
right?
That we were able to cover. And this is actually Jeff's car, in case you didn't know. This was what he took and just had the air conditioning fixed on. Very nice.
Yes, very hot on that planet. Hey, I'd just like to add to what you said, how these things fit together. So those previous tools that I showed you, the ABBYY Vantage and the Hyland IDP, where they're actually becoming capable of doing the types of things you just described, there's still a use case for just extracting that specific information, extracting the data fields off of an invoice to feed very specific business processes in a very structured way, right? That's still an important need for us, and to be able to do that. But in addition to that process of getting the data and the documents into a system and being able to make decisions on them, automated decisions, now we're going to be able to gain insights from that as a collection as a whole using the things that you just mentioned, right? Where we can start querying our invoices and say, which are our best vendors, or where should we be looking at, some additional discounts, or any type query where where we want to be able to just have an interaction with the data in a very human way. It's going to be very powerful. Those tools are coming, and we're getting ready to introduce those to you in a more specific way.
Great point, Jeff. That was
You know,
fast
kind of
and
focus.
fun. That was a lot of information. But no matter what step you are in your intelligent document or your IDP solution today on your digital transformation journey, the goals are the same. You want to be able to reduce cost, improve accuracy, speed up your business processes, improve the security and compliance areas of your business, while having a simple way to build those out in a highly scalable platform. Both, as Jeff showed you, ABBYY Vantage and Hyland IDP give you that very highly scalable, easy to build out, point and click configurable solution. And of course, with the AI, as it learns and adapts and takes user inputs, its throughput improves dramatically. And so you'll see all that with Jeff's demonstration on ABBYY Vantage. It learns very, very quickly. So the tools are there to make you more successful. And I love that we were able to show you all of this, but you maybe have different examples. We didn't get to cover everything because they don't give us weeks worth of time to share all of the great insights. So if you want to learn more, there are two wonderful resources. University.abby.com will give you ABBYY Vantage fundamentals. You can take all the training courses and learn all the great features and functions built within the ABBYY Vantage toolset, or Hyland University, where you can learn more about Hyland IDP. With that, thank you so much for your time today, because you took the moments to figure out how you can improve your efficiency and do better with your IDP solution. And we look forward to seeing you at our next webinar. And we appreciate you being here today and learning more about IDP and AI. Have a great day, everybody.
Bye-bye.